Hi, let us have a quick understanding on IoT, Internet of Things. IoT is about connecting any device or sensor over the internet. It's going to create a huge network of devices or objects connected over the internet with well-defined security and predefined protocols to communicate. Once all the devices are brought into a single network with well-defined network or security, I'll be in a position to consolidate, aggregate the data in a centralized location. Most of the time what happens within IoT, the devices will be having the specific sensors, and sensors could be any type. There are a huge number of sensors available, and it will be having an embedded software, or there could be a hub which can collect the data from the devices, and it can send the data over the centralized location in terms of what is the current value or what are all the values or the data that it collected over a period of time. And mostly the IoT data will be stored within the cloud platform as it is available over the internet, and it's going to provide huge scalability and availability. Once the data reaches the cloud, I should be in a position to use the cloud applications to analyze the data that reached, as well as I should be in a position to analyze the data that is reaching the cloud and will be in a position to provide near real-time analytics and give solution. Let us take a small use case on how IoT can be leveraged. Let us say I'm going to measure as well as give a dashboard like information on in which are all the car parking I do have the car, whether that is parked properly or not. I can put in a sensor whether the car is available in that specific location, and over the internet I should be in a position to send the data and analyze it. I should be in a position to give the real-time analytics in terms of what is the demand and supply of parking spaces in that specific location, and based on that I should be in a position to reserve the parking space or do the coordination in terms of reserve the parking space for various customers and optimally utilize the parking space available. And another use case is about collecting various vital information from the patients and keep analyzing it. Whenever there is a sudden hike or spike or any anomaly in the reading, I should be in a position to alert the home care or the doctors. So Internet of Things, it's going to bring in the data in a centralized location for analysis. And sensors play a significant role. There are a number of sensors available. Each and everything can be monitored, right from the acceleration, or I can have vision sensor, or the force, torque, speed, pressure, flow, different type of chemicals, gases, acoustics, sound, humidity, temperature, different things I can measure. And for everything we do have different type of sensors. And once the data is collected from the sensor, I need to do some sort of a small processing, or I need to do the aggregation, consolidation, and connect to the internet location. For that I will be using some controllers like Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. We will see in detail about Arduino and Raspberry Pi in future. And they will be in a position to collect the data and send it to a centralized location like cloud. And nowadays cloud like AWS, Azure, they provide services to handle IoT. AWS have dedicated services for IoT, and Microsoft Azure have dedicated service for IoT to receive the data and do the analysis on the fly within the cloud platform. They give IoT as service. So if you look at the data flow overall, the data would get generated from the sensor. That's going to be a hardware, and most of the time it will be very low cost, and it will have some capability to radio the data to the nearby devices. And I'll be having a small hub like device to consolidate the data from multiple sensors. Here Raspberry Pi or Arduino microcontroller are very good examples, where it will have a small processing capability as well as it can store the data for a small amount of time. And there are dedicated protocols available to transfer the data from the hardware device or the sensors to the cloud location or the location where I am going to do the consolidation. And most of the time I will be having the data in the cloud to do the stream data analytics or the data at rest and do the analysis and get the result. This is just a quick overview on how IoT going to come into picture, and let me just quickly summarize what are the different technologies that's going to come in and play a role over here. So we have seen the sensors that's going to generate the data, and the data that is getting generated would get stored within the cloud. So by some means, I'll be bringing it into the cloud platform, and whenever the data is reaching the system, I'll be doing the analysis at that specific point. So as and when the incident happens, or I'll be in a position to predict whether the incident about to happen or not. For prediction, that's a very good example on the data that I'm collecting from the patients, or the data that I'm collecting from, like, say, sensors or cell phone towers or air conditioners, where before failure it will start emitting some signals, where I'll be bringing in the technology like machine learning, where I'll generate the model with the historical data, and the model will be used to do the prediction. So I'll be having the model with the historical data, I can generate the model, and here's where the Spark streaming, all that comes into picture. As and when the data reaches the system, I'll be using the model and do the prediction, and I'll be using the messaging systems to send out the message or notification. Based on the prediction, I'll send out the message. That's where the Kafka comes into picture. And IoT plays a very significant role to bring in the data into the big data ecosystem or into the AI world, where IoT playing a significant role to bridge the data where the data is getting originated and where we are going to do the analysis.